All right, yesterday, Donald Trump announced a massive event. The UFC is coming to the White House. Now, I saw this. I was like, oh my God, this is insane.
We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it.
Of course, there's a lot of people out there that are talking shit. The leftist media, they're all out there going, oh my God, this is crazy. They've gone full idiocracy. Look, listen, it's a bit of fun. It's great sport. Donald Trump loves it, and he's loved the UFC for years. And I'll tell you what, if they put on a UFC event at the White House, I want to be there. If I was competing, I would have loved to compete at the White House. I'm very lucky. I fought all over the world on almost every single continent. To fight at the White House, that would be unbelievable. So I'm going to take you through a dream card, because some fighters have already been putting their hand up and volunteering their services. But as we know, Donald Trump and Dana White, they have a very close friendship.
Dana White, who has done some job.
Back in the early days, when the UFC was kind of struggling to get into arenas and venues and struggling to get cable TV deals and stuff like that, Donald Trump was a big supporter. He would allow the UFC events to take place at the Trump Taj Mahal. I think that was in Atlantic City, UFC 30. Okay, so it goes back a very long way. And Trump loves it. As we know, he's at a lot of the UFC events now, and he's there, he's watching the prelims, he's watching the main cards, he can break down the fights. And when he walks into the building, I am telling you, the place goes mental. I'll never forget, I was at a UFC event. It was Madison Square Garden 2023. I'd just gone upstairs to get myself a cheeky little drink.
Are you intoxicated?
And I was standing there, and then all of a sudden the roar and this rumble. I thought, what's going on? Is there an earthquake? And someone goes, no, Trump has just walked into the building. And I'm telling you, when he walks in, that place just goes absolutely insane. Talking of insane, he wants to do it on the White House grounds. Apparently behind the White House, there's a ton of land there. They're going to build a temporary stadium that could seat somewhere between 20 and 25,000 fans.
We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people.
And let me tell you, even though there's a lot of people, because I just Googled UFC at the White House, and Yahoo and the Huffington Post and stuff like that came up talking shit, going, oh my God, this is crazy. They've gone full idiocracy. How are you going to do that? Madison Square Garden only holds 20,000 people. Listen, if they've got the land, they've got the money, they've got the know-how, they've got the resources, they've got the fighters. If anyone can do it, it's Donald Trump and Dana White. So bet your bottom dollar, 2026, we might get a UFC event at the White House, which would be absolutely insane. So, who would fight on that card? Of course, as I mentioned, a few fighters are already volunteering their services. Conor McGregor has put his hand up. Michael Chandler said, let's do this. There's a lot of people.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
So let's start with it. Main event. Main event at the White House, UFC, whatever. You don't give it a number. You just call it UFC White House or UFC America. And by the way, today, as I record this, is the 4th of July. So all you treasonous bastards out there, enjoy your day off, enjoy your barbecue, and then get back to your jobs. I'm kidding, by the way. I hope you all have a fantastic day. We're going to be barbecuing here shortly at the Bisping household, but I thought I'd bang out this quick video. So, main event at the White House. Who would this be? Well, we know that Jon Jones is one of Donald Trump's favorite fighters, and he just walked away from the sport. So Tom Aspenol apparently has a fight lined up. The date and the opponent will be announced soon.
Like, the guy I'm fighting next is the most dangerous guy that I'm ever going to have to fight.
You got to think that that's Cyril Gane, okay? It's got to be Cyril Gane. Tom Aspenol versus Cyril Gane. Can you imagine Cyril Gane gets beaten by Tom, but he makes him work for it? Let's say it goes to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, even if it goes to a decision, okay? That's going to have Jon Jones thinking, hold on a minute, I can beat this guy. And if there's one fight, and if there's one location that Jon Jones would come out of retirement for, we might just get to see the greatest heavyweight fight of all time, if Tom only just scrapes by Cyril Gane. I think Jones would come out of retirement, and that would be the main event at the White House. Jon Jones versus Tom Aspenol, England versus USA, all over again, okay? 1776, eat your goddamn hearts out, except this time, we're gonna whoop your ass, guys. Anyway, there's the main event. Let me know what you think about that one. Co-main event, listen, McGregor's already had his hand up. He's showing messages on Instagram with Dana White. He already said this is the perfect place to settle this score. This fight that has been about 3 or 4 years in the making. Of course, they recorded The Ultimate Fighter. The fight never took place. There was a bunch of injuries. There was broken toes.
My foot was a balloon.
There was a bunch of rumors, all kinds of going on, right? But I'll tell you what, if there is a spot, if there is a place, it's the White House. Conor McGregor's no stranger to the White House. He's already been out there. He said he's going to run to be the Prime Minister or the President of Ireland. He spoke to the world's media at the White House. So he's very familiar with this place. And of course, he would love to insert himself to this legendary historic event. And of course, taking on Michael Chandler, who was just destroyed by Paddy Pimblett. If Conor could come back, and that's a big if he could come back, the White House wouldn't be a bad place to do it. He's already been there, and I think he would probably beat Michael Chandler. Certainly that version that fought Paddy Pimblett. No disrespect to Paddy Pimblett. So there you go. There's your main. There's your co-main. Who else do we have on this card? I've got some notes here. Well, we're going to have a women's fight on there. Now, of course, if the Democrats were involved, okay, if they were running the White House right now, there'd be a lot. There would be a lot of female fighters on this card, okay? There'd also be a lot of international flavor, but it's America. It's the Republicans. It's Donald Trump. They want a lot of Americans. So we've got an American in the co-main. We've got an American in the main. The problem is, when you look at the rankings, there's not too many Americans in the top 5, okay? I'm looking at the rankings right here. So when you look at the lightweight division, Pantoja's the champ, Joshua Van, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, Amir Albazi and Kai Kara France. Merab Dvalishvili in bantamweight. You got Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, he could be on there maybe versus Corey Sandhagen. That could be the first fight of the night on the main card on the pay-per-view. Perhaps Sean O'Malley taking on Corey Sandhagen, an all-American affair, the Civil War. Okay, but outside of that, you've got Merab, you've got Umar, you've got Piotr Yan, you've got Song Yudong. Okay, featherweight, we got Australian Volkanovski, Max Holloway, he's American. We've got Movsar Evloev, Diego Lopez, and Yair Rodriguez. And we've got a Brit as well, Arnold Allen. And it's like that if you go through all the rankings, if you go through all the weight divisions, Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, he's number 5. Scrap that. Corey Sandhagen versus Sean O'Malley. That could be the prelim headliner. We're going to have Justin Gaethje on there. Justin Gaethje versus anybody at the White House. He ain't going to retire if that's the case, if that's what's offered to him. So Justin Gaethje opens up the main card versus whoever the hell he wants. As I say, we're going to have a female fight on there. Valentina Shevchenko, the Bullet, representing Russia, okay? Or do we have Weili Zhang? We could have a Chinese versus USA affair at the White House, you know. I'm just having a bit of fun here. If you get offended easily, then get over yourself and get a grip, okay? But it's the White House, okay? And it's an international sport. So we're going to have the Americans, we're going to have the Chinese, we're going to have the Russians, South Africans, throw them all on there. So the main card is Tom Aspenol versus Jon Jones, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, Valentina Shevchenko taking on Erin Blanchfield. Of course, there's one other. We got to have Sean Strickland on there. Sean Strickland, Captain 1776 himself. Yeah! Sean Strickland tagged me in something yesterday on Instagram, just having a dig about 1776. I just got something to tell all you Americans out there. English don't give a shit, and we do not get offended by any jokes or anything by 1776. Listen, I get it. You're very proud of your victory. Good for you. Well done. But you still speak our language. And England, we're very good at giving independence back, okay? At one point, we ruled the world, you know, and then we just gave it all back because we couldn't be bothered with the headaches. But still, we're going to have Sean Strickland on there. Sean Strickland versus, who did I say here? Oh, Israel Adesanya. They've been talking about doing that rematch. Izzy said recently, that's the one that he wants to get back. So show Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland, another international affair involving the real American Sean Strickland, man.
This is the land of the free. I eat McDonald's and fucking cheeseburgers.
As long as he can get a license to do that, you might have saw he stormed into a cage the other night and punched some fighter in the face twice, lost his mind, walked up like he was an old dude and like gave him a couple of cracks. But I think he'll be all right. Turns out the guy that he punched, the MMA fighter, was a police officer.
That's fucking illegal.
But he took it all in his stride. He doesn't want any trouble for Sean Strickland, so he'll be fine. So Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Holy what a card this is. So, Gaethje versus anyone, O'Malley versus Sandhagen, Strickland versus Izzy, Shevchenko versus Erin Blanchfield, and Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, and Jon Jones versus Tom Aspenol. That's a mental card. That's a bonkers card. That's a very expensive card. But the tickets would sell like hotcakes. The pay-per-view would be through the absolute roof. And that is a card worthy of the historic White House, the home of the President of the United States, the most powerful country on planet Earth, and a place that I'm very proud to call home. On the 4th of July, you guys have a wonderful day. Go out there, barbecue, have a few drinks, spend some time with your loved ones, your friends, your family. Set off your fireworks, be safe, don't blow your hands off, and subscribe and ring the bell. Let me know what you think about my fight card in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Take care.